Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'll get things started off by just letting you know I really do enjoy the series quite a bit.
Do you? Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice change of pace. There's so many things about it, which I'll get into, but there's so many aspects of it that I just find refreshing. It's like a nice positive perspective on the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Stephen. Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And we like and I particularly enjoyed that it has some real spontaneity to it. And I think authenticity, it's not really cooked up and kind of contrived, I like that it's, kind of happens the way it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely one of the draws to the series. I just want to start going back a little bit before the series, though. I was curious where it all started for you. How did you, as a kid growing up in Pittsburgh, or born in Pittsburgh at least, to now, how did entertainment happen? Was it a family thing, or was it just something inside of you?
I'll tell you the whole thing without boring you or taking too much of our time. Let's see. I was born and grew up in Pittsburgh. I left there when I was 17. Right after high school. Here's what happened. My dad was a doctor. My mom raised us 4 kids, exposed us to the arts, took us to see ballet, and we went to museums and arts. My sister became a painter. She's a wonderful painter. They gave us all music lessons, piano with me took. I loved it, and loved jazz especially. It's still a big part of my life and has changed and transformed my life. And then acting, I'll tell you, my dad toyed with the idea when they were kids, as the story goes, of being either a doctor, he said, or an actor. He was going to be an actor. He wanted to be an actor. I don't know why. But he said he stuck his nose in the back of a class at Carnegie Tech, it was called then, before Carnegie Mellon, and he thought, this is out of my league, whatever that meant. He was brought up in a kind of poor way. His dad was from Russia and da-da-da-da. So maybe it was some kind of transferred and generationally inherited kind of wish, but it felt all mine. And it felt by the time I was 10, when I went to this camp, and they had this drama program and they cast me in this show, it felt like something of my own. And my dad had already said, if you find something you love doing, it's a key maybe to your vocational choice, whatever I heard as that meaning. But I'll tell you, I remember the night that I performed in this final recital. I was so thrilled by it that I put those two things together, and I kept secret for myself. Hey, this might be, I think I'm going to be an actor, something like that. But I kept it secret. And by the time I went to Carnegie Mellon University, and between 9th and 10th and 11th grades, these 6-week summer sessions, I fell deeply in love with it, was obsessed with it, and used to, but it was still a secret, used to write on my shower steamy door every morning when I'd prepare to go to school, please God, let me be an actor. And then before I left, I would wipe it off so nobody would see it. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then I graduated high school and said, I want to go to, I wound up at the neighborhood playhouse with Sandy Meisner, and there I went. I went to New York and started my adventure. That's how it happened.
That's great. And you can see the creativity that, obviously your parents planted and exposed you to, continues throughout, and it shows up in this series. It's not just, a science class or like a how-to or anything like that. It really, parts of your personality really shine through, which makes it much more enjoyable than I think I ever could have expected. Where did the idea for the series come from?
Here's what happened, Stephen. I'll tell you, I was Nat Geo, the good, generous, gracious, and smart people at Nat Geo were operating on their own network then, and did this show Explorer, if you remember that. And they were fooling around this one season with the host format, and they had a few different people do a few episodes and tinker around with it. I was asked to do that, and I did 3 episodes, after which I said, gee, that was fun. You guys are so smart, and I like all this material. I like, I like delving into this. I'd be watching if I wasn't doing it. And they said, well, we like this. We like you, and we like the spin that you kind of put on it. You made it your own kind of in a different way. And what if, after a time, they called up and said, what if you had a show of your own, like this, or like we devised, and would be, original. And I said, hey, let's talk about it. And we started to cook this thing up. And I said, well, I could be in a studio and do these wraparound things and post it so-called and read some teleprompters, but I think I'd be better used in a way that might be uniquely me, and I'll bet I could enjoy it and mind something that I think I'd be excited about doing if you turned me loose and I improvised these encounters with people and fans of these subjects and experts and scientists, and then let me not pretend to be anything but what I am and not teach anybody anything, but really kind of be a student of these things that I might be curious about. Let's see where that takes us. And that was those were some of the seeds of this, and it just was. I was right. I was so excited to do it, and it was uniquely fun and delicious and nutritious for me.
Yeah, what I love about it is the word you brought up, authentic. You have an authentic curiosity. It doesn't. You're not just doing this because it was your task for the day. You can see how much you enjoy it, and there's like that another word, wonder, enthusiasm. There's just like this quality that makes it identifiable not just to adults but also to kids. I think my daughters watch it with me. Actually, my daughter watched it before I did. She said, "You know this guy, right?" So I sat down. Oh yeah, I've been wanting to watch this, and we've been watching it since. I think the first episode I watched with her was the denim episode. But I think that your curiosity is contagious. Did you have any goals for this series? Like, is it like, did you have that planned, or is that just how it happened?
Well, and it kind of happened like that. We talked more about it, and kind of adjusted course as we went on. And they're very smart and work very hard. They've got a good research team, and how to do this kind of thing. They're documentarians of the highest order. And as we went on, especially this season, and Kurt Anderson, who wrote Fantasyland or How America Went Haywire, and somebody who's intellect and writings and conversation I enjoyed terrifically. I started to talk to him and said, hey, maybe you can help us. And then we came up with the list of 10 subjects that we were going to address. And aside from even doing what we did the first season, which is find the extraordinary in some of these familiar things and secrets and histories and insights that could be yielded and epiphanies. I also wanted to tell my personal story and enjoy sort of sharing home movies about my family growing up and my history and associations with any of these subjects. We picked things in accordance with that. But then with Kurt Anderson, this season, we said, hey, let's even try to see if these things can be portals into something a little more intellectually substantial in some cases, and see if puzzles can have something to do with global cooperation, international cooperation to solve climate change and nuclear management and larger things about the story of the species here, and et cetera, et cetera. How fireworks can allow us to look up and encounter astronomy and the history of the universe, the shape of the universe and the possible multiverses in which we reside, et cetera, et cetera. So we tried to do a little of that, which interested me terrifically and authentically.
One word that keeps coming up that I thought of, and then it kept getting echoed, is empathy. And why is that an important part of this series?
Well, hey, that's a good point and question. Well, because it's an important part of being human and how we're going to move the ball forward on many fronts. All of us together, of course, we have to start putting ourselves in each other's shoes. So a lot of these were portals into not only bigger ideas, amazing secrets, my free associations and histories, and personal feelings, and home life and upbringing, but how we are connected to each other. Oh my gosh, yes. dance and all the people with whom we dance and may sometimes feel not as connected with, but really it's a small planet, and putting ourselves in their dance shoes in that case, and walking a mile or doing a chasse or a tour jeté or two is going to connect us not only to them, but to ourselves and to some larger, fruitful way of navigating through this precious life of ours, you know.
Do you have a favorite episode up to this point?
Well, geez, I'm looking at this second one. Well, I don't know that I do. I like all the ones that, you know, I gave them my home movies and I said, surprise me with, you know, however you use them. Their editing is so good. Not only the parts that they use of my gibbering and jabbering throughout the day and making me look good and separating the wheat from the chaff, but then using these photographs I've given them of my home albums and the kids, any stuff we've taken to the kids, and they surprised them even during the episode birthdays when I said, hey, don't show me what you've got before. We never did take two. We never tried to recreate something. I said, let's shoot everything as I actually encounter it, including me watching on a projector. Was the idea. I said, don't show it to me before. Just film me as I watch what you've put together of my kids' birthdays and my birthday, whatever you have. I don't know what you have. And that's what they did. So I do I'm choked up by a lot of that stuff sometimes. And then excited. But I think my favorite ones are the ones that particularly move me, you know, where I go, yeah, you know, where we're all related in some way. I'm very moved by that. I think that's part of what turned me on about acting early on, that it was not painting, which I also did, but it was something that happened in groups of people, amongst people, and that you had to do, and with some intimacy with other people. I'm crazy about that. So I like all those, you know, wherever that occurs. Of course, dance, you know, I got to dance with my own wife, you know, who's just amazing, and I'm always in wonder of. She was, you know, the Pan American champion for rhythmic gymnastics, and went to the Olympics and does these Cirque du Soleil things. I'm just always, you can't believe what she does in our own home from room to room as she twirls around in them. You know, I just feel I'm always a big fan of her. So dancing with her in this thing, and the footage they got of us, the way they shot it is always so artful and kind of cute. I'll cherish that. And fireworks, for instance, you know, it's our oldest son's birthday on the 4th of July. We always celebrate with watching fireworks any place, but they showed us, as you saw that episode, fireworks, a spectacular display close up in a way that I'd never seen. I don't know that we'll ever see again, but we have footage of all of us watching it, and that was something I'll always look on again, better than any home movie I've ever taken. Anyway, those are just a few of my favorite things off the top of my head.
That's great. The fireworks connected with me because every 4th of July we go to a park. It's kind of an old school fireworks display, and bands are playing and food trucks, but we just sit out. And as the fireworks go off, I spend half the time watching my daughter's faces, and I saw your children's face and the awe, and I just love it. And in your face and your wife's as well, but you see it through them, and like that experience. I'm like, you can't recap. That's the magic. The fireworks are great, but it's what they spark that's beautiful, and I loved seeing that on your whole family's faces.
You're so sweet. Yeah, I did too. That's what I'm talking about. And you know, yeah, I'm easily moved by them. You know, I was just watching. They're learning how to play the piano themselves, and we both, Emily and I, kind of facilitate their rehearsals every day. Make sure they practice and kind of practice in a way that's fun and we all enjoy, but that really kind of accomplishes something. And she sent me, because I'm here in Italy shooting this thing, she sent me, and I'm missing them, she sent me some footage of River playing, and it just, you know, was adorable and amazing. Yeah, it's wonderful and wondrous.
It's wonderful. It is. So what's the most interesting thing you've learned while making this series?
Well, many things. I mean, well, look, I'm looking at monsters, and always it's interesting to keep investigating my own ability to include the shadow side, and consider how even myself, when I go, like, we're all capable of doing, hey, so-and-so's a monster, and this is monstrous, and it's kind of a fun thing to chew on sometimes, but like your grandma said, when you point your finger, three are point back at you, and to say, in what ways am I stupid and dense and am doing things that in 50 or 100 years will be considered immoral or asleep or unenlightened, and in what ways do I contribute to all of us being monstrously insensitive to our opportunity and to the planet, and things like that. So I don't know if it's one fact that I learned, but things like that are continued enhancements and firing of the furnace that keeps me inflamed about investigating and looking at things in myself and all of and big problems of a consciousness and who we are and what the universe is up to and how long, what the real history and the Big Bang and what was here before the Big Bang, and are there multiverses and all of that. And I'm, from the series, I think I am now more engaged in and completely fascinated by all sorts of podcastings that now are available with people who talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a beautiful thing to find most interesting, because it's so true. You really nail it. You bring it up in the episode sometimes about like this epiphany. You have these moments, and you've had many of experiences, but still through you we get to experience this, and that's what I think is amazing. It's like a domino or snowballs into much bigger, and it expands. So the more people, that's why I love watching this series with my daughters. It's like I learned something, but they see it the world a little differently. They get to go across the world. They get to go into this dance crew that we wouldn't have access to, and then also seeing that you're connecting with them in a way with can't remember whatever the collab crew, maybe was that their name?
Collab Crib. Yeah, they were great, weren't they?
Yes.
I'd never heard of. I didn't know that kind of thing. I hadn't had much personal connection with that, but yeah. Oh, we had a great time together, and my life is enhanced and changed forever from having encountered them. It was a rare opportunity. Yeah, no, the whole series gave me chances to do things that I wouldn't have otherwise found myself doing. I'd never been to the Sequoia National Forest and got to climb a tree, one of those giant trees with those big guys, with those tree experts. Amazing.
So how has becoming a parent changed you as a person and as an artist?
That's a great question. If we had several days to have a retreat and talk about and investigate it, but with some pithiness, let me say that, well, as they just crack your heart wide open. And I think I feel more, my inner garden is a little more lush and a lot more lush, and I'm transformed by it. And I'm easily, moved by them and life and the future of our, it's time changes, not only the fleeting aspect of my own time here and with them, which I'm always now aware of, but my, thinking of others before myself and how deeply I care about them and what I would do for them is different than ever. My own relationship with my wife, we've been together almost 12 years, but and that's my longest relationship ever. But seeing how she's changed, being a mother, a wonderful mother, and our relationship has changed. We encounter things instead of just, hey, where are we going to go to dinner this week? Was one of our, concerns. Now, as you know, every day is filled with, from the time you get up, big things that will have an impact on them, as you know, and can be ticklish things between us. How we share those duties and how we're on the same page. They're challenging and important things, and collaborating on that is transformational. And how we learn how to deal with each other with these jugular and primal things that come up are life enhancing and transformational, and sometimes challenging, but very nutritional. And all of that, as you asked, can obviously changes all my so-called creative endeavors. As I'm acting and trying to depict human life as it happens, and my own ability to be a so-called human being under imaginary circumstances, has gone through a paradigm shift and a whole horizon enhancement.
Were you surprised how much being a parent changed you? Did you have any idea that the impact it would have?
No, and I am surprised. I mean, you hear tales and people say things, but it's just like before you taste oysters, hearing anybody describe them doesn't in any way prepare you for tasting your first oyster. Nope. It's all kind of surprising. It's still surprising, and I like surprises. I studied with Sandy Meisner, and improvisation is part of this. One of the reasons I like and maybe suited for, and I've designed this show for myself so that I could, exercise some of that. But the kids and being a parent, oh yeah, all of that is uncharted and delightful territory. And I'm thrilled at this point to have a demand, to put a demand on myself that I be more open than ever, and ready to go on a ride and change if necessary.
As I was saying, my kids enjoy your work. They know you from Jurassic Park and from Thor and Ragnarok. And my dad introduced me to you as a kid at probably too young of an age, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which still haunts me, and The Fly as well. I'm curious, what is the draw? How is the longevity of your career? People love Jeff Goldblum. When I mentioned I'm going to be speaking with you, the reaction was out of this world. Do you know the secret, and can you share it?
Oh, I have no secret. And of course, not only are we all here for a short time and all this is fleeting, but the continuum of my so-called career is fleeting and ever in movement. So if for now, people seem to be getting a kick out of this show or whatever I do, that's awful nice, but like my teacher said, you're interesting to the extent that you're interested. That's sort of a guiding principle of this show, for instance, and maybe my whole odyssey too. I, in fact, am, from the time I was a kid, am wildly and wild-heartedly interested, fascinated with, my endeavors of one kind or another. And maybe that's what people, I know I'm attracted to people who are involved in their passions and really in the willing to be seen and share their themselves in mid journey and in mid growth, and not disguise the fact that they don't know something and they're eager to learn, and that we're all just coming and going. Something like that. Maybe that accounts for somebody's interest for a moment.
Yeah, because no matter what you're on, so on this series, it works perfectly because your curiosity, as I said, is very evident right on the screen. But also when you show up on Conan OBrien, pretty much anywhere, even if you're on a commercial, I go, I wonder what's going to do this time. What's he going to bring to me that I didn't expect? Because you're not a spokesperson, you're kind of like an energy. And I'm like, I don't know. You sit up and you pay attention. It's kind of magical. So.
Well, golly, thank you. I'll take that compliment to my to my inner bank. Thank you. That's very, very sweet. Yeah. Well, thanks. That's awful nice. Well, I'll keep trying to do my best, and I hope I don't let you down.
Hey, you've done enough. I want to go back really quickly about, so like I said, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Fly. You have all these great films, TV shows, so many different ways you've entertained. Are there any that you look back at most fondly? For any reason at all?
Well, first of all, I didn't even address, I apologize for scaring you too early. I mean, you got to see these things, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Phil Kaufman and Michael Chapman and all those people, and The Fly. No, you got to be ready for them. But I was proud of both of those things. Speaking of which, those directors are spectacular. I don't think an actor can be, it's all collaborative, as you know, and people have said many times, but I don't think even an actor can be even good or make much of an impact unless the director is good. So you look for good directors, and I've been lucky. I've worked with a lot of good people, Wes Anderson and Robert Altman, and in those cases, Phil Kaufman and David Cronenberg. And I was proud of what we did together. And so I look back on that, and I was thinking about what Robert Altman, his credo, which was, the final resulting movie that we're trying to make is important, and we want that to be good and do what it does when it lands on an audience. But this experience that we're having is just as important. And that's why he called his production Sandcastle Pictures. He said, we're just looking for a reason to be together, us human beings, and we're all passionate about and are into this movie making stuff and telling stories, but really it's just so that we can do this together. And this time you build the moat, and you build the tower, and then the water will come and wash it all away. And really what's left is our experience. And that's kind of the most important thing. And I think Wes Anderson sort of follows that, and going to these locations and being involved in these casts that he attracts and his crews. I love all that. So I've loved working with people, and this show had a great. I've loved documentaries my whole life. And this crew was just great. These directors, the producers of Utopia and Nat Geo, they were great. I just loved working with them.
It's fantastic. I could talk to you all day, but time is short. So just a couple. No, thank you. A couple quick questions. One, and I'm not expecting an answer, but I'm hoping for it. Did you get a tattoo?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I am a clean slate. I'd show you everything, but I'm too modest. But it's all
that's all right.
As when I came out of Shirley a long time ago, it's as clean as a whistle. Do you have any tattoos?
No tattoos.
How would you like it if your girls got tattoos? What do you think?
I told them if they really want to, they can, but I said, think about it, because, someday you're going to have to look back and say, did I really like this TV show or whatever it is that's imprinted on you? But also,
well, there you go. And like I said on the show, I'm fickle, and I always change my mind. And if I decide one thing, I'm sure the next week I'll go, why did I do that? And they're great temporary tattoos these days, so they can try that.
Yep.
But having said that, I don't think I still really am not rushing out to get a tattoo myself, but I enjoy seeing them often on other people. I kind of do, case by case basis, but I can enjoy looking at them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just I don't think for me. Okay, let me wrap up really quickly. 3 words to describe Jeff Goldblum.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Let's see. Me? Well, 3 words. I don't know. I'm thinking of that quote that Shirley MacLaine's character in Being There says. She's had a certain experience, and she says, and maybe there's some words in here that we can cull and make into a little haiku, a little kind of a troika of a word salad, a little tricolore salad. She says, I've revealed myself to myself. So maybe reveal has something to do with me. And now I feel, she says, completely drenched and purged. So maybe reveal, drenched, purged. I know that's unconventional. I know you want something like something else, but let's go with that.
That's the perfect answer.
Good, thank you.
So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the series. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to more. And have a great day.
I've really enjoyed this, Stephen. Thank you very, very much for doing it. Say hi to your daughters.
Thank you. I will do so. Say hello to your family.
I sure will.
Thank you. Say Steve from the Burst said hello.
Yeah, I will. I'll listen for that podcast, and maybe we can do it together sometime.
Sounds great. I'd love it. Have a great day.
Man. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.